This is Gemara and Succah Daf Chav Beis. We're learning for this month. The month of Av has been generously sponsored. The Chanishim is Chesed Shagim and Avram Yehuda, as well as Rachel Basham Shenar and Tzvi. Learning the entire Chabura should be a tremendous chosi l'nishmasam. Of course, all our Chayim Amen v'Veichayim Masara Shalom Ziv and Rizah. Those are Baskenan Dalit Basim with Chaysay Yisrael Mendel President Shalom Aviv Shaviv Shechana Shmuel Mantila. Then Yaman Khan Rizal Chayim Basim Librach Basim Musatinina Bashin Mendel Siv Vayurn Chalis from the Zilhuva. Rivka Bas Bashem and Asal Zim Nuch Esther. B'Soyer Shar Chadi Yisrael. We pick it up on the top of Chav Beis Amud Aleph. A new Mishnah. We're going to have some absolutely amazing pictures today, courtesy of Kol Lashain. Whoever doesn't have it, it's not a free download. It's a 20 shekel download on their website. It's absolutely amazing. Let's go. Says the Mishnah Chav Beis Amud Aleph. Sukkah hamiduvleles. A sukkah which is miduvleles. The top Rashi tells us, don't worry that you don't know what that word means. The Gemara is going to explain it. Hold on tight. Or case number 2, and, we'll see in the Gemara. There's more shade than sun. Ksheir, it is kosher. Ha'me'uva kimin bayis, very, very thick schach. You're like in a house. What's the halacha? Afal pi she'enak kachavim near, meaning that you cannot see the stars. Mitoicha, inside of it. Ksheir, it is kosher. So we have 2 halves of the Mishnah. The first half of the Mishnah is this muduvleles. Is this more shade than sun? It is kosher. The second half of the Mishnah is very, very thick schach. It is kosher. Says the Gemara before we show any pictures, my miduvleles. What exactly does this mean? It's miduvleles. Amarav says Rav. Sukkah aniyah. It's a poor sukkah. Shmuel Amar, and Shmuel argues and he says, kana oile, kana yarid. It means there's one going up and one going down. So we have machlokes Rav and Shmuel. At the moment, it's not exactly clear, and the Gemara is going to elaborate on this right now. Rav Tani Chado, Shmuel Tani Tarti. Rav learned to the Mishnah there's one case, Shmuel learned to the Mishnah there's 2 cases, and again, as always, we can read the Gemara, explain, and then explain again with the pictures. So Rav said this one case explains the Gemara, Rav Tani Chado. Rav says there is one case, Sukkah hamiduvleles. My miduvleles, what does this word miduvleles mean? Miduldeles. Rav translates the word as midul deles, which means, like we said a moment ago, it's poor, which means even though it's not so much schach, but it still has more shade than sun, it's going to be kosher. That is how Rav learned it. Rav learns that the Mishnah is one long case. Miduvleles, which is shetzilas murmechamasa, Ksheira. That is how Rav learns. Shmuel Tani Tarti, Shmuel learned that the Mishnah has 2 different cases. My miduvleles, what does that mean? Says Shmuel, mivulveles, which is like we learned a moment ago, is kana oile, kana yarid, up and down, staggered, like we'll see in a moment. V'tarti kotani, and the Mishnah has 2 different cases. Sukkah mivulveles, a staggered sukkah is ksheira. V'tzilasa mirum chamasa ksheira. That's a separate case, which means in the first case, according to Shmuel, it is not more shade than sun. Rather, according to Shmuel, in the first case, it's more sun than shade, and yet it's going to be kosher. Why is that true? We know it has that more shade than sun. Let's see the pictures, and we will explain. As you see over here, this is the sukkah miduvleles. Not so much shade like you see from the bottom over here. There's a lot of sun. Still, Rav learned it's all one case. It ends up being more shade than sun. It's all going to be good. Comes along Shmuel, and Shmuel said, it's almost like a 2-tiered schach, as you see in front of you. Kana oile, kana yarid. It's a staggered schach. And in such a case, says Shmuel, it's going to be kosher. Now, let's see one Rashi together. Rashi, the second Rashi in the Gemara, kana oile, kana yarid. We'll zoom in a little bit on this Rashi. Says Rashi, Shloi hishva schach lahashkiv ha'konim zeisel zeh. The schach is not equal. Elo echel la'maylo v'echel la'mato. Umitoich kach. Here are the clincher. Chamosai meruba mitzilasai. Says Rashi, it's more sun than shade. And still, what's the chiddush? Says Shmuel, v'ashminan mas nisan ta'amrinan. Kol she'ilu hayam misuchachin b'shaveh. If this 2-tiered schach was equal, if it came down, it would have more shade than sun. Ksheiro. Says Shmuel, a fascinating chiddush, even though right now, the way you're in the sukkah, there's more sun than shade. But because if the schach would be equal, Ryan, we view it as if it's equal, then it would be more shade than sun. That's enough to even say it's kosher right now. The fascinating chiddush of Shmuel, Rav learns the Mishnah as one case, Shmuel learns the Mishnah as two cases, and Shmuel is adding on this chiddush that even though right now there's more sun than shade, but since as if you would have lowered it down, it would be more shade than sun, that is enough. Says the Gemara, Amar Abayi. Abayi goes a little bit further, a little bit deeper into the explanation of Shmuel. Lo Yishanu, the din of the Mishnah was not taught, Ella, she'ein bein zel lezeh gimel tfachim. It's only if there's not 3 tfachim between our 2 tiers. Aval yesh bein zel lezeh gimel tfachim, psula. If it's going to be 3 tfachim, that's too much. We know 3 tfachim is always loved. If it's going to be 3 tfachim, we're not going to be able to view it as if it falls down, like Shmuel said, and it will be possible. And Rava comes along on my Rava, afilu yesh bein zel lezeh gimel tfachim. Rava qualifies even further. Let's say there was 3 tfachim, says Rava. It's possible. But I'll tell you one case it's kosher. Nami loy amara, we didn't say the din el she'ein b'gagoy, the top layer, the roof, tefach. Aval yesh b'gagoy tefach, and the top layer has a tefach, ksheira, it's going to be kosher. Why? Why is it going to be kosher? There's not enough shade. Says the Gemara, Da'amrinan chavot rami. We say a new yesod, a new rule, a rule we have not seen yet, a rule, chavot, that we go lower down. Chavot we lower down, and Rami we cast it down, which is a terminology that is used, says Rava, that once something is a tefach thick, we allow it to fall down and cover over the bottom schach, and thereby give us enough shade. Amar Rava, says Rava, where do I know this yesod? Where do I know this idea? Amar Rava min amin Allah, where do I know this halach? Beit tefach. When the top layer has a tefach chavot rami, we say that we're allowed to view it as if it's lower down. And again, even though there's 3 tefachim, if it's not a tefach, we don't say that. It's not learned to the Mishnah. An interesting case. We have the beams of a house, va'aliyah, and the top floor of a house. Shein aliyah maziva, that has no plaster. Ve'im b'chuvanos, and the 2 layers, excuse me, and the 2 layers are directly on top of each other. Instead of having a full ceiling, a full floor, what do we have? We just have beams, one on top of another. What's the halacha? Again, let's read and then we'll see the pictures. If there's tum underneath one of those beams, what's underneath it is tamei. Actually, the truth is, before we read, it's a little bit hard to understand. Let's first show the pictures. We'll make it easier for everyone to understand. First, let's go back. This is Gishbei Gimel Gimel. Said Abaye, it's going to be possible because we're not going to allow the top layer to fall down if there is a full 3 tvachim. Said the Gemara came along Rava, but Abaye continued that. Excuse me, one more time. Rava said that if the top layer had a tefach, then even though it's 3 tvachim, we're going to allow it to fall down. We're going to say chavot rami. This is the case we're talking about right now. Everyone can look at it together so that we can then read the Gemara. The base is that the ceiling does not have a ceiling and the floor does not have a floor, and you basically have beams on top of beams, and therefore the question is, do we view them as separate or not? So in case number 1, as you see in front of you, that the beams are a tefach, what is the halacha? That if something is underneath one of those beams, that which is underneath it, like we see right over here, if there's something tamei right underneath one beam, that which is next to it will be tamei. The halacha we've seen many times that Thomas Oyhel only spreads if it's a tefach. So since it's one tefach, it will spread underneath that beam. But what about something right next door to it? It will be tar because it's not a complete roof, so it cannot permeate the whole room. It will only spread underneath the beam itself. But however, let's just see a few more pictures. But this was the next case, that if the tumah is in the middle, then again, that which is in the middle with it, as you see over here, that which is in the middle with it, again, is underneath a beam of a tefach, so it will be tamei. That which is on top will be tar, that which is on the bottom will be tar. Now the next case, as you see over here, is that if the tumah is on the top of the top, then everything underneath it obviously will be tar, again, because there's a tefach blocking it. Now this is the next case. Again, we're going to see it in the picture, then we'll see it inside. It'll make it easier for everyone to visualize the Gemara as you read it. As you see over here, the 2 layers are not right on top of each other. Rather, the top layer is on top of the airspace of the bottom layer. And this is where we're seeing the yesod, the makar, the source for this idea of chavot rami, that we allow the top layer to fall down on the bottom layer. We see over here that if the top layer is a tefach, and it's over the airspace of the bottom layer, we can allow it to fall down and create one floor and create one solid surface. And therefore, once it creates one solid surface, as you see at the bottom of this picture so beautifully, what's going to happen is that even though the tumah right over here is underneath a beam, that which is next to it will also be tummy. Why is it a tummy? It's under the airspace. The answer is because chavut rami, we view this top beam as it falls down, it closes in the gap. Once it closes in the gap, now you have a solid floor. Now underneath it, the whole area is one big house, one big tumah permeating the entire airspace, and therefore it's going to be tameh. This is the next case, the same exact idea, that if it's going to be in the middle case, and finally, this is when it's pachas meitefach, then we're not going to have this din of chavut rami, as the Bryce will explain, and that is the source for the din of Rava. That the din of chavut rami is only when you have a tefach. When you have a tefach on the top, then we allow it to fall down over the airspace on the bottom, creating a complete floor. If it's not a tefach, says the Bryce, as you see in front of you, we will not say chavut rami, it will not fall down, it will not create airspace, it will not allow the tumah to spread. Now let's see it together. Inside the Gemara, hopefully it'll be much clearer. One more time, it's not, it says in the Mishnah. The first word in the line is Kairis. Kairis Abaye is Aliyah Shein Aleh Maziva that has no plaster. Vein Mechuvanois, and it's directly beam on top of beam. Tomatachas Achs Beim, someone's under one of the beams. Tachteh Tomei, that which is underneath it is Tomei. Vein Tachtina Leyoinof, there's Tomei in the middle. Vein Nehan Tomei, under that beam again is Tomei. El Gabi El Yoina, but on top, Keneg Dal Rekia Tomei. If there's something there, it goes straight up. Again, there's no Tomei spreading, because we don't have a floor. But now if you have the top floor that's in between the bottom one, again, it's spaced off, that if it would drop down, it would fall into the space. What's the halacha? Tachas kulan tameh. That is the source. Why is tachas kulan tameh? Because we have viewed the top floor to fall down. Al gabehem connected on the rekia tameh. V'tani Allah. And we explained on this brisa, which is going to bring out the point of Rava, only if the top floor is a tefach, and the opening is a tefach. But if it's not a full tefach, then we do not say chavot rami, we do not allow it to fall down, and therefore the tumah will not spread. Tomatachas achs mehem. Now if there's tumah underneath one of them, tachteha tameh. Only under that beam will be tameh, but not everywhere else. B'neim al gabeim tahor. Alma, what do we see? Says the Gemara. Ki es beit tefach aminu chavot rami, v'chilas beit tefach. Lo yamin al chavot rami, shma mino. Beautiful raya. Beautiful source, the din of Rava, that is din of Chavot Rami is only said when you have a tefach, as we see so clearly in this brisa. When we have the two floors that are interspaced, not on top of each other. If it is a tefach, then the tumah spreads everywhere for the simple reason that it considered like it falls down, creating a floor. Now you have tumah inside a house, the tumah spreads and infects everything within that house. Says the Gemara, beautiful raya, Yosef, Rav Kahana, we're about 8 lines from the bottom. Rav Kahana was sitting with Karmel Shmeitz and he was saying over this halacha. This halacha that when you have a tefach, we say Chavot Rami, Amalei Rav Ashi to Rav Kahana. Rav Ashi to Rav Kahana. According to what you just said, that if there's a tefach, we say Chavot Rami. If there's no tefach, we do not say Chavot Rami. But Tanya will ask a question from a brisa we learned a few months ago in the Gemara in Erevin. Kaira. Now, let's just be aware. The first 2 sections of this brisa are not our source. Only in Amud Beis we'll get to our source, so don't get excited when the first 2 parts don't sound like they have anything to do with our discussion. Says the Gemara, we have a beam. Where are we? We're in a mavoi. We know mavoi midaraisa. You're allowed to carry, and however midrabanan you're not allowed to carry. What do you need? You need a kaira horizontal beam, a lechi a vertical beam. So if you have a kaira horizontal beam, but does not reach from side to side, or you have 2 beams. One goes from this side, one goes to that side. They do not touch each other in the middle. What's the halacha? We've seen this a few days ago as well. Less than 3 tefachim of a gap. You don't need another kaira. But if there's a 3 tefach gap, we say lavud. If it's 3 tefachim, lavud closes it up. If there's not 3 tefachim, lavud does not close it up. Rav Shimon Gamliel says Rav Shimon Gamliel, as we turn over to Chav Beis and Beis, this is the famous sheet of Rav Shimon Gamliel that holds we say lavud by 4 tefachim. Ein tzarich lavi kaira acheres. Arba tzarich lavi kaira acheres. V'chein, and similarly, shtei kairis, 2 beams, hamat imois, which are next door to each other. Each beam is not strong enough to hold a brick, If they're together, could hold a brick on top of them, they're with a tefach, then they have the din of a kaira, Sarach Lavi Kaira Cheres. Ve'im Lav, Sarach Lavi Kaira Cheres. Again, Rosh Gamliel argues, and he says, if it could carry a brick on the width of 3 tvachim, you do not have to bring another beam. Those 2 cases were beautiful cases. The din of lavud of 3 tvachim versus 4 tvachim Shimon Gamliel. The din how strong the kaira has to be, whether it has to be able to hold a brick sideways of a tefach or 3 tvachim, says Shimon Gamliel. And now on Amud Beis, about 8 lines down, we come to the part of the Brisa which is a source for our halacha. Says the Gemara, which is what we're honing in on. And again, this is going to be a question. We just had an idea, said Rava, that when you have Chavut Rami, you have 2 layers of schach. The top layer, if it's a tefach, could fall down on the bottom layer and thereby creating a kosher sukkah when the top layer is a tefach. We brought a source from a house that had the top beams and the bottom beams that were not directly opposite each other, and we said if the top one is a tefach, it creates a firm floor, and thereby you have the dinim of tama will spread everywhere. But now we're seeing this brisa says the Gemara. Amud Beis, 10 lines down, first one line is Hayu achas lamayla achas lamata. We have again our kaira. We're in our mavli. We're trying to permit carrying in the mavli the 3-sided street, the cul-de-sac and Shabbos. We have 2 beams. One's up top and one's below. Rav Yezir, Rav Yudah Aimer. Ryan, we view. We view the top beam as if it's down low. And the bottom beam as if it's up top. Provided be careful. The top beam can't be above 20 amos. We know that because we know that above 20 amos is not a kosher kaira. And the bottom one can't be below 10 tvachim. We know below 10 tvachim is not a kosher kaira. What do we see? If both of these beams are within 20 amos, Chavot Rami, we view them both as if they fall down and they're next door to each other, creating a kosher kaira for a mavli. And now the Gemara articulates the problem. Afal gad the less tefach. And this brayz had nothing to do with the tefach. So what do we see? We see we're allowing walls to move, floors and ceilings to move. We're allowing beams to fall, chsach to fall, even if it's not a tefach. Says the Gemara, Kasha and Rava. Rava said we only say Chavut Rami if it's a tefach. We see clearly here, we say it even when it's not a tefach. Before we see the pictures, let's see the answer. Amar Lei, Teretz ve'im ahachi, we have to change the brisa, and this is the way it's supposed to read. Ubilvad, the end of the brisa is supposed to read, provided shotel yoina l'mala mi'asrim, the top one's above 20, el b'soich asrim, v'atach toina samucha la, and the bottom one has to be close by to it, but pachas mishleish within 3 tvachim. That's when it's going to work. And if we're not using the mechanics of Chavut Rami, we're using the mechanics of shleish tvachim, which is lavod. Inami, another way, b'vad shotei tachtoina l'mata mi'asara, the bottom one cannot be below 10. The bottom one has to be above 10 tvachim. Again, within 3 tvachim, again, because we're using the mechanics of lavud and not chavut rami. And therefore, this price has absolutely nothing to do with our discussion. Aval shleisha, once it's 3 tvachim, kim less beitevach. Loi amrinan chavot rami, and therefore we do not have a kasha on Rava. Rather, actually, you'll end up being a source to Rava, because the way to learn the brayso according to this is that we're only going to say chavot rami if it is 8 tefach. Let's see the pictures. Here we go. Here we have our mavli, a 3-sided cul-de-sac. Here we have our kaira, and the first case the brayso said if it's less than 3 tefachim in the wall, we say lavud, and it's good. If the 2 different beams are less than 3 tefachim from each other, we say lavud, and it's good. Rav Shimon Gamliel said no, lavud goes by 4 tefachim. Said the Gemara, next machlek is between Tanakan and Shimon Gamliel. As you see over here, you have 2 different beams. Can it carry a brick? Is it strong enough to carry a brick? As you see over here, 2 different beams next door to each other. Is it strong enough to carry a brick in the width? Rav Shimon Gamliel said, like this, you see, you can put it within 3 tefachim of each other. And this is the case that we're using as a raya for Chavot Rami. We have 2 different bricks, one on top and one below. Said the Gemara, if they're above 20 amos, like you see over here, no good. If it's below 10 tefachim, like you see over here, no good. What's the case? This case is that they're within below 20, within 10, we're going to say Chavot Rami, even though it's not a Answer the Gemara, no, the case is that we're in 3 Tvachim and therefore we're using the mechanics of Lavud. And the way that you see is explained over here, it's more of a right triangle, a bit of a discussion, not 4 now. Says the Gemara, as we finish off today's daf, if there's more shade than sun, what's the halacha? It is kosher. What's the obvious implication of the Mishnah? That if you have equal shade and sun, 50-50, also, what's the problem? Astir at the previous Mishnah. Vatanan bidach, where can we learn earlier in the first parak? Psula, more sun than shade is possible. By us it said more shade than sun kosher. Over there it said more sun than shade possible. What's the obvious implication of that Mishnah? Kiadadik sheira, stira diuk, and the implications are contradictory. By us we're seeing that what? We're seeing that if they're equal, it's going to be kosher. Over there, it sounds like if the equal is going to be possible. Says the Gemara, fascinating. Teretz aloi kasha. Different perspective. It depends where you are. If you're on top and you're below, what is the reason? The reason is that sun spreads more below. So if on top it's equal, the bottom's going to have more sun than shade, and it's going to be possible. But if on the bottom it's equal, that means on the top there's more shade than sun, and therefore it's going to be kosher. The Gemara brings a beautiful raya. Omer Apapa, you know what the source to this is? If you have a little zuzah on top, it's like istra on the bottom. We'll see a picture which will bring out the point beautifully. As you see over here, Kamil Maila, that when it's equal on top, what happens is too much sun on the floor. However, when over here it's equal on the bottom, on the top there's more shade than sun. And this is the raya of the Gemara, such a beautiful picture, that when you have a zuzah, a little hole in the bottom, on the top, on the bottom the sun spreads, and therefore that is how we see that if there's more sun, if there's equal sun than shade, on the top, then on the bottom it's going to have too much sun. But if it's equal on the bottom, that means on the top there's more shade than sun, and therefore it's going to be kosher. Says the Gemara, Uvakim in Bayis. What's the halacha that at the end of the Mishnah concluded that if you have enough schach, it's thick like a house, very, very thick schach. It says the Gemara, if you can't see the stars, it's still kosher. Which, by the way, some Rishonim point out, you see from here an idea that you should be able to see the stars. But the Gemara says, what if you can't see the koich le'achama? What if you can't see the sun? There's so much schach, you can't even see through to the sun. In that case, Beis Shammai comes along and says it's possible. But again, Beis Hillel says, Beis Hillel machshirin, it's still not a problem. We'll pick up for the Mishnah.